At the edge of a bathroom mirror, under a hard white light that exposes every pore, every oil slick, every tired line, facial care begins as a quiet panic. We think we are just washing our face. We are not. We are negotiating with the largest, most visible organ we present to the world every single day. One wrong move and the skin answers back with redness, breakouts, flacking tightness, or that cruel shine that seems to appear only when we are already late. One overzealous scrub, one harsh cleanser, one forgotten moisturizer, and the face becomes a battleground. That is the strange terror of facial care. It looks simple, almost trivial, until the mirror turns into a judge. Long before shelves filled with foams, serums, acids, and creams, people were already trying to solve the same problem. How do we keep the face alive, clean, calm, and seen? The story starts in dirt, in sun, in smoke, and in the ancient human fear of being worn down too quickly by the world. In the beginning, facial care was not vanity, it was survival. In dusty settlements beside smoky fires in riverbanks and stone courtyards, people used what they had: oils pressed from seeds, ash, clay, milk, honey, crushed herbs, and animal fats. They rubbed mixtures onto skin to loosen grime, to soothe windburn, to soften harsh dryness, to protect against heat and cold. There was no science vocabulary yet, but there was observation. Certain substances stung, certain mixtures calmed, certain rituals made the skin feel less like a battlefield and more like a boundary. And because the face is always on display, facial care quickly became personal, social, and symbolic. A clean face could signal status, discipline, piety, health, or wealth. A cared-for face told the world that someone had time, resources, or access to rare ingredients. In royal courts and temple rooms, facial treatments were part medicine, part ceremony, part performance. The products were crude by modern standards, but the impulse was already recognizably human: preserve the surface that carries identity. Then the centuries rolled forward and the face became more than a surface to be protected. It became a canvas for discipline. In some eras, people chased pallor with powders, chased glow with oils, chased softness with slow, repetitive washing. In others, they trusted botanical infusions, floral waters, and mineral paste to chase away blemishes and fatigue. Every generation believed it was discovering the answer, and every generation was partly right and partly wrong. That is what makes facial care so fascinating. It is an age-old experiment conducted on the most sensitive landscape we own. Today, we can read the skin with a precision ancient practitioners could never imagine. We know the outer layer of the face works like a barricade, holding in water while keeping out irritants, microbes, and pollution. We know that sweat, sebum, dead cells, sunlight, stress, sleep loss, hormones, and genetics all leave fingerprints on the face. We know that what looks like just dry skin may be a damaged barrier, that what looks like just acne may involve clogged pores, inflammation, bacteria, and hormonal signaling, and that what looks like just aging is often the slow collapse of collagen, elastin, and moisture retention under relentless exposure. But understanding the machinery did not make facial care feel less emotional. If anything, it made it more intense. Because once we understood the skin as a living system, every cleanser, every moisturizer, every serum became a decision. Do we strip or do we support? Do we exfoliate or do we preserve? Do we chase instant smoothness or do we build resilience over time? That tension sits at the heart of modern facial care, and it is why people can spend years trapped in a cycle of overcorrecting. One day the skin feels oily, so we cleanse harder. Then it feels tight, so we pile on richer creams. Then a breakout appears and we attack with stronger acids, more scrubs, more treatments. The face protests. We respond with more force. The spiral keeps turning. And that is where the breakthrough story really begins, when facial care stops being a war against the skin and becomes a strategy for working with it. If you're fascinated by the hidden systems shaping how we care for ourselves every day, hit subscribe, because we build stories like this into something deeper than tips and trends. Now back to the skin. The real engine of facial care is the barrier. Think of it as a brick wall. The cells are the bricks and the lipids between them are the mortar. When that wall is intact, the face stays calmer, less reactive, and better hydrated. When it is damaged, everything gets in: fragrance stings, wind bites, water evaporates too fast, redness blooms. The skin starts sending out distress signals like a city losing power. This is why the simplest looking steps often matter most. Cleansing is not just about removing dirt. It is about taking off sweat, sunscreen, oil, makeup, and environmental residue without tearing apart the barrier that keeps the face functioning. A good cleanser removes debris while respecting the skin's chemistry. A bad one leaves the surface squeaky, which sounds clean but often means stripped. Then comes hydration, and here the details matter. Humectants pull water into the skin, emollients smooth roughness. Occlusives trap moisture and slow evaporation. On paper, that sounds like a shopping list. In practice, it is a careful truce with biology. Apply too little and the face feels parched. Apply too much of the wrong thing and pores complain. Apply the right combination and the skin settles. It stops shouting. Exfoliation is another battlefield. Dead cells naturally shed from the surface, but sometimes that process slows, leaving the face dull or rough. That is where acids, enzymes, and gentle mechanical methods come in. Alpha-hydroxy acids work near the surface, loosening the bonds between cells. Beta-hydroxy acids can move into oily pores and help clear congestion. Enzyme exfoliants take a softer route, digesting surface buildup with less friction. But here is the danger. Exfoliation is one of the easiest parts of facial care to overdo. Too much too often and the barrier cracks. The face becomes hypersensitive, shiny in the wrong way, and irritated by the very products meant to help it. That is the hidden irony. The skin often does better with restraint than with enthusiasm. And then there is sun exposure, the invisible force that ages, stains, and stresses the face day after day. Light does not just warm the skin. Ultraviolet radiation can trigger inflammation, pigmentation, and long-term structural damage. The face, sitting in the front row of the body, receives the full performance. Protecting it means treating daily light exposure like a serious design problem, not a seasonal afterthought. That is one of the great modern shifts in facial care, moving from rescue to prevention, from patching damage after the fact to reducing the damage before it starts. And if all of this sounds like a lab report, that is because facial care really is a small-scale laboratory of the human condition. We are constantly testing. We change one ingredient and watch for reaction. We adjust frequency and measure texture. We notice whether the skin feels supple at 7 a.m., oily by noon, or angry by evening. We learn our own faces the way engineers learn a machine by sound, vibration, and heat. There is also the psychological layer, the part people rarely talk about out loud. Facial care is intimate because the face is where identity meets judgment. It is what we offer to strangers, what cameras freeze, what mirrors return, what we pick apart under unforgiving light. A single blemish can feel larger than it is because it sits at the intersection of biology and self-image. That makes facial care both practical and emotional. We are not just treating skin. We are trying to quiet the noise that skin can create in the mind. The industry around that fear has grown massive and not always honestly. For decades, behind polished bottles and soft focus ads, there has been a shadow economy of promises. Some products were built on genuine science. Others were built on aspiration, insecurity, and the hope that one more purchase might finally unlock the face we imagine in our heads. The hidden reality is that facial care has often been sold as a transformation story when it works best as a maintenance story. Skin changes slowly, cells renew in cycles. Collagen does not obey impatience. Many dramatic promises collapse under simple biology. A cream cannot erase time, a serum cannot rewrite genetics. A cleanser cannot undo a decade of neglect in a week. But the right routine can stabilize, support, and improve the skin enough that the daily mirror becomes less hostile. That is the real magic, not miracle, management, not perfection, control. In homes, clinics, spas, and bathroom sinks around the world, the ritual continues in near silence. Warm water runs, fingers press product into damp skin, tiny bubbles collect at the jawline, steam rises. The scent of botanical extracts or clean surfactants hangs in the air for a few seconds and disappears. A towel pats the face dry, a dropper clicks, a cream is warmed between the palms. This ritual feels small, but it is built on layers of history, chemistry, and adaptation. We now have formulations that can target hydration, oil balance, uneven texture, visible pores, and signs of photoaging with increasing specificity. We have learned that some skin types prefer simplicity, while others benefit from carefully sequenced steps. We have learned that consistency beats intensity. We have learned that irritation is not proof of effectiveness. We have learned that more is often less. And still, the industry keeps evolving because skin changes with climate, age, hormones, stress, and environment. Pollution particles cling to the face. Indoor heating dries it out. Air conditioning pulls moisture away. Sleepless nights show up beneath the eyes. Stress hormones can influence inflammation and oil production. Facial care has become less like vanity maintenance and more like environmental defense. It is a daily negotiation with a world that never stops touching us. The future of facial care is moving toward personalization, smarter formulas, barrier-first design, and treatments that respect the individuality of skin instead of forcing every face into the same category. Expect more emphasis on measured ingredients, fewer harsh shortcuts, and better education about what skin actually needs. Expect routines to get simpler in some cases, more targeted in others. Expect the old myth of punishment to fade. The face does not need to be punished into beauty, it needs to be understood into balance. And that may be the most important legacy of facial care. It teaches us that care is not the same as control, and improvement is not the same as aggression. The face is always telling us something. We just have to stop shouting over it long enough to listen. So the next time we stand in front of the mirror under that relentless light, we are not just applying a product. We are participating in a story that began with ash, clay, oils, and human instinct, and that now lives inside laboratories, bathrooms, and our own daily habits. Facial care is older than the beauty aisle, bigger than the trend cycle, and more revealing than it first appears. If you want more stories that turn everyday rituals into hidden histories of human behavior, subscribe and stay with us. Because this channel is for the people who look at the ordinary and ask what it has been hiding all along.